it's a solemn moment, like the writer in front of the blank sheet of paper in the typewriter. You don't know what's going to happen, and it's also very much like having babies, because by the end of the day there'll be some personality here that I didn't know about. But I love surprises, and so I've absolutely no idea what's going to happen, and that's quite a nice feeling, really. So, oh, I'll take my glasses off. No clutter. The yogurt pot is my tool of choice. Just see where it goes. Because I could never draw shapes as beautiful as these. And there it is. The next thing is to, when it's dry, I put it on a board and I look at it for a long, long time. And I turn it every way, because there's no right way and wrong way, until I see something in it that I want to explore. And I try not to think, just try to look at it, and for it to be something subconscious rather than conscious. I can already see it, a lovely curved shape there. There could be something quite violent there, pointed shape there, but I don't go for straight lines a lot, as you may have noticed. I have no idea how this will turn out. My paintings are quite noisy and colourful. Everyone says, oh, very, very colourful pictures. And I often think, yes, but there's a quieter person trying to get out. And that quieter person doesn't often, perhaps hasn't the confidence to get out. But this could be one of my quiet pictures, although it looks rather a noisy start. It looks as if the centre is going to be, it's almost a perfect circle. And perfect circles tend to make me think of the earth. And as soon as I think of the earth, I think of the hideous mess we're making of it. That might have something to do with this picture, I don't know. Very often I fill the shapes with pastel, rubbed in pastel, on this Indian paper, which is very rough. If you put pastel on and then rub it in, you get a lovely colour that is very dense, but it still has texture. And I'll show you what I mean. I was doing some watercolour greys last week, and then I did some pastel greys, and there's something a bit special about them. I might try that, or I might do it with watercolour, but I more often use pastel because they're just so beautiful to work with. And I haven't tried mixing greys with pastels before, so that's a possibility. It's so nice not knowing what it's going to be. And in a few weeks' time that'll be all finished and it'll have a personality of its own. And like a child, it will grow up and go away. I had a rather sort of sad, depressing year last year, because no one thing, but just too many things all coming at once. And I was moving studios, and somehow the flow had dried up a bit, and I went into the studio and had this nice white canvas, and I thought, right, let's do something. And I poured the blue paint on, and really that was it for that day. no spark came and I just left it. And then a few days later somebody came into the studio to see me and said, "Oh, I like that one." And I realised it was finished, and it was just an expression of that particular day. The day when nothing much happened. But it was a day with its own integrity. But that's how it was. This scrapbook I find very useful. I try and keep the diary going each time I come to the studio, because it's interesting to look back at things and see what came after what, or what decisions I made, or even what materials I used, because it's not always obvious. On this page, for instance, this one of those days was a very bleak picture. Well, not bleak, sparse picture. Another of those days was a totally bonkers picture with lots of jagged edges and wheels and things going on. It was a picture I just did for the hell of it and then put it on one side. And someone, the same person actually, who appreciated the simplicity of one of those days, looked at this one and said, "I like that top bit." So I trimmed it down, and that has made a much better picture. You can just see a little of the neurosis in the corners. It's only the artist who knows how much neurosis was in the rest of the picture. A few years ago we went down to St Ives, partly to see a friend, but a wonderful opportunity to go and have a look at the Tate at St Ives. And when we arrived, we found all the galleries were closed for rehanging, and there was just a small Roger Hilton exhibition in the foyer. And there was one picture which looked like 3 bits of rock, 2 big bits supporting a smaller bit. And they appeared to be holding it and supporting it in such a safe and warm way. That image stuck in my mind. And when I came back, the next thing I did, I wanted something to be held in a similar way. And this is why these white discs are being held by that framework. And I'd not done anything like that before. And I think that's when I started getting these discs into my paintings, because there seemed to be an awful lot of discs since then. This picture, called Holding the Moon, came after the one called Holding that we've just been looking at. And this theme of something being safely held perhaps in a web of uncertainty, has been on and off in paintings ever since the visit to St Ives. Nearly all my paintings start off with a network or a mesh, and I sometimes wonder about this. It's partly because I love the shapes that paint makes on its own, without too much interference from me. But very often the feelings that come along after are feelings of being caught, to be in a mesh and not able to fly free. And that is, of course, what life's all about. You long to fly free, but there are commitments and meshes which you just have to try and make something beautiful out of. And in this, the sun itself is caught. The sun can't even be free. And it's another of those pictures where I did one thing and then I put the sun in, and I thought, I think that's all I need to say in this picture, so I stopped. This picture was done around about the same time as the very sparse one of those days. And it was still at the time when I was feeling a bit low. And I was wondering in the back of my mind, I think, not consciously but unconsciously, will the sparkle come back? I hadn't got any sparkle at all, and I was wondering whether it would ever come back. It came to me that the sparkle that I was waiting for was very much like a sleeping bird, and I wanted it to fly again. So I called this one, "Oh, wake up, you flying bird." It's still asleep.